Everyone ready? Awesome. So you met me a little bit earlier. My name is Jessie Lang, and I help people buy and manage long-term rentals. So here, today we're going to talk about when to BRRRR a property, and we'll talk about exactly what that means, and when to flip a property. So there's pros and cons to both, and we are going to go over them in great detail, and you're going to come out of here with a strategy that's going to work well for yourself and your business, okay? So who has flipped a property before? Oh yeah, Misty's flipped one or two. Who has any long-term or short-term rentals? Buy and hold. Okay, awesome, yay, good work. So we are going to talk about those two specific exit strategies. I think you know from my intro which one is my favorite. So I'm going to try to be fair, try to be impartial. It's a 45 minutes. I'm going to take about 30 minutes of prepared content. There's some questions I'm going to ask you, and then we're going to leave 15 minutes or so at the end for open Q&A. So if you have anything, just take a note, and I am happy to elaborate at the end, okay? Take a picture of any of these slides if you want. It's content, you're more than welcome to copy that, okay? So, you can see. 2010 is kind of when I started my real estate journey. I grew up in Austin, Texas. I graduated from college, and society tells you, you get a job, get married, have some kids, buy a house, the whole thing. So I didn't do most of it, but I did buy a house right out of college. It was a crappy little condo, Austin, Texas, $92,000, needed everything, and I lived in it while I fixed it up. But this was, 2010, we were kind of in the peak of the, aftermath of financial crisis, and the bank had really no business giving me that loan. I definitely did not qualify. So I spent my whole life savings to buy it, and I could hardly pay the mortgage. So instead, I didn't know what house hacking was, but I was like, hey, let me just get some roommates, and they can pay my bills, and this will be great. So that's kind of how I got started, complete accident. I had 2 roommates that lived in my house with me, came with all the dramas that you would imagine. But it was worth it because they were paying my bills. So one of those roommates was my partner at the time, and we split, and this was 2013. And at this point, I knew I couldn't live there emotionally. I knew that it would be crazy to sell it in Austin, and I knew that I could not pay a mortgage for somewhere I wasn't living. So in the span of 2 weeks, I went from living there myself, all my belongings, nice and cozy, comfortable, to moved out with 4 college kids as my renters. And I always joke that they could have stopped my real estate career before it ever got started if they were bad, but thankfully they were amazing. So I was a landlord, overnight. I was making it all up as I went. And the next couple of years, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Someone's paying your bills. So I bought another house, did the same thing, had roommates and 1 long-term rental. Next year, bought another house, moved into it, had roommates and then 2 long-term rentals at that point. So I'm not only having my bills paid, but I'm making money every month, and I also have my active income. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I was able to save and save. And at this point, I started thinking about real estate seriously, but instead of taking it seriously like I maybe could have at that time, I quit my job, I quit everything, and I went to go travel the world for a year. So that was 2016. I met my gorgeous wife. She couldn't be here today, but that year of travel introduced me to Columbus. 2017, moved to Columbus, grew up in Austin. I was telling someone just recently that I drove into the city with all of my stuff in my car and was like, oh, this is basically Austin. Cool. Great, I'll be fine. And that was 6 years ago. So moved to Columbus. 2018, the job I moved here for, I was able to quit it. And that was because the year and a half I was there, I was going to meetups, I was talking to everyone I could, I was educating myself, I was learning strategies on how to, I got the taste of it back in Austin in 2014, 15. How do I make this a real career? So I for a year, I was educating myself, got the chance to quit my job. And at this point, I was getting properties under contract. I'm sure you guys have heard of wholesaling. I was wholesaling everything. I didn't really have any money, so was saving. And I got to the point where I was 2021, I was able to finally start like holding some of these deals that I was finding. And I got really serious about the BRRRR strategy. Previously, I had been dabbling, shiny object syndrome, I got my license, I did a bunch of things, and I finally, 2021, I figured out what clicks. I got a mentor, I got really serious about it, and since then, since January 2021, we've been able to buy about 50 long-term rentals using the BRRRR strategy. Cool. Yeah. So far, I've kind of told you, everything I've done, but this is who I am. So, traveling, pet loving, puzzler from Texas. We have 5 pets, it's crazy, it's a zoo. Lots of pets, and I am just like a regular person who happened to find something she loves and get really serious about it and double down. So I kind of want to show you why you should maybe consider the same, okay? So this is the overview, when to BRRRR, when to flip. So this is a poll the audience, okay?
Really quickly.
Yes.
Sorry. You mentioned something there, right? You said you were saving, you were wholesaling, you were saving. A lot of times I think people think that you have to have all of this money to get started. How much would you say approximately you started off with before you really then started holding those properties?
It was multiple tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
25, 30 maybe,
Yeah.
before and I don't know that I needed that money necessarily, but that's where I needed to be for the confidence to spend some of it. I wasn't just I bought a house once by spending every penny I had, and it worked out okay, but it very well could have gone the other way. So I wasn't gonna do that again, but a couple tens of thousands.
Some people could have assumed you had $200,000 saved up.
Okay, well that's good to know. I'll include it next time. No, I did not. I mean, it's a good amount of money, but it's not. I was never gonna just put 25K in the bank and retire. It was not enough. It's not a lot of money. Let's be honest. So I needed that as kind of the booster and the leverage to kind of turn 25 into 2.5 million, right? Okay.
You prefaced it too by saying you bought a $92,000 house, the lender had no business loaning.
Not at yeah.
That tells us that you scraped into.
I think at that job at that time, it was W-2. I was making like 32,000 right out of college. I'm telling you, no business, none. I was like, what? Really? That was my first nervous breakdown. Was buying that house. I'm not kidding. I was talking to my partner and I started laughing, and then all of a sudden I just started crying for like an hour, and then later was like, oh, I think that's a nervous breakdown. Okay, so I'm gonna poll you guys real quick. So when someone says, what do you do? Just shout out, what's your answer? What do you do?
Real estate agent.
Sell real estate louder. Okay, mortgage. My phone is ringing. Okay, so what I hear so often and what I am guilty of is just saying, oh, I'm in real estate. I'm in real estate. What does that mean? Are you a wholesaler? Are you an agent? Are you a mortgage? Are you in title? Are you Airbnbs? It goes on and on. There's 1,000 different things you can do in real estate. So I'm gonna go deep on just 2 strategies. I know you all have amazing agent businesses. It's just 2 of the millions of things that you can do inside of real estate, okay? What is a flip? I don't think I need to go into too much detail here. We've all seen HGTV. We all know you buy a property that needs work, you do the work, and then you sell it for a profit. What is a BRRRR? Does anyone have any experience with the BRRRR process? Okay. We're gonna go over some awesome examples. It has nothing to do with snowmen or snowflakes or anything like that. It is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. We're gonna recycle our money. I'm gonna show you how. Why does it matter? The flip, we'll get into it, but you're going to, it's active income. You're getting paid one time. I touched on this in my intro. Cash flow, the appreciation in value, principal reduction, tax advantages, bonus points for credit cards. We have not paid to travel in 4 years. So if you get really smart about credit card points, huge bonus here that not a lot of people talk about. Okay, this is gonna get detailed. Y'all, if you have, let me get through an example, and if you have any questions, then I'm happy to dig in, okay? This is just very general, very high level overview of what the perfect BRRRR would look like. We have our purchase price. This example one is something that you very well could see in Columbus, Ohio. These are real numbers, okay? $75,000 purchase, $25,000 renovation, and $5,000 holding cost. So this is your hard money, your insurance, your utilities, everything while you own the property, but it's not occupied. That's your holding cost. Definitions are here. I'm not gonna go over each one, but essentially you're all in this example for $105,000. How is that your money? Is that hard money? Is that private money? None of that matters. The fact is it costs you $105,000 to get to this point. The bank, when you go to refi, it's the third R, is going to give you 75% of the appraised value. We all know appraisals. That refinance lender is going to want a full appraisal, and they will loan you 75% of what that appraisal comes back at. So in this case is 140. So 75% of 140, 105. You're in it for 105, the bank will give you 105. Pretty cool, right? So you get all your money back. Cash out, this is the perfect BRRRR. Now, if you spend more than the bank will give you, then you leave some money in. If you spend less than the bank will give you, the bank is still giving you 75% of the loan to value, or of the ARV, sorry. So you are actually able to pull out cash from this property tax-free because it's in the form of a loan. It's not income, it's a loan that you do have to pay back. So this is it. This is the magic of BRRRR, right? Because they're giving you 75%. You have 25% equity that you created out of thin air by doing the renovation, getting the renter in place, and going through the refi process. You still own 25% of this equity, and you have all of your money back. Cool? Who thinks that's cool? So the next slide is it's the exact same slide with higher numbers. So I want to illustrate that it's all ratios. It all is percentages. You could do the same thing in any market as long as your numbers make sense, right? So this one, you're all in for 300, your loan amount is 300, cash out 0, the perfect BRRRR. Any questions on this? So I did a perfect job explaining it? Is that what you're saying?
How do you come up with the holding cost number? Just, is that like your?
So in this example, it's just like a round number, but it would be a solid estimate on how much your hard money lender's charging, and you know that because you're closing a loan with them.
Right, I see.
Your insurance for that time period, the utilities for that time period. You put it in a calculator and it adds up and it tells you how much it'll be.
Okay.
These are like ballparks, but. Okay, so the comparison, we're gonna look at each strategy side by side, pros and cons. For a flip, you have to learn how to source the deal, fund the deal. You need to know how to renovate, and you need to know how to sell a deal, okay? So you really need like 4 categories of skills. To do a BRRRR, you need to do it. I wanna illustrate, it's not that much more. You still need to know how to source, fund, renovate, and sell, because eventually you will sell this. But In that interim time, you need to learn how to rent, put the right person in place. You need to know how to refinance. It's a little bit different than the loan up front. And then you need to know ongoing management. So there really isn't, there's less skills involved in a flip, but there really isn't that much more that you have to learn in order to keep it for yourself. Number of payments, flip. You get a one-time, assuming you did it right, you get a lot of money one time. BRRRR, you're paid every single month for the life that you own this property. Every month. Do I want to be paid one time or 100 times? Yes, the payments are smaller, but it adds up. And you still get to sell it one day. So you're still getting that big payday, just with a lot of small paydays in the middle, right? Equity growth. If it's a large rehab and you maybe are holding it for 8 months, a year, you may see some appreciation, but really the market's not going to be too different, especially if it's like a carpet and paint rehab. So you're not really seeing that benefit of appreciation. On a BRRRR, you get it two ways, okay? So your appreciation goes up over time, and your principal pay down, the principal that you owe the bank, goes down over time. And huge thing to note is you are not the one paying for that principal. Your residents are. So you're going both directions, and every single month your equity's growing. You all know amortization schedule. So the longer you own the asset, the faster the principal is paid down. Each month, more money goes towards your principal versus the interest, because banks want to be paid, so they front load that loan and get all the interest on the front. So if you're owning this 7, 10, 15 years, every single time a rent payment is coming in, it's significant equity that you're putting down every single month. So okay, I have a question for you. What do you think the average property value in Columbus, Ohio was in 2013? Okay, we got 175. What else?
125.
200. We got 125. Okay, we'll stop at the 125 because the answer is 130. 2013 was $130,000.
Always lived here in Columbus, my whole life.
What do you think it is today? You all know it.
230.
No, it's
We're 290.
Yeah.
That's according to Board of Realtors. Average Columbus, Ohio, $290,000. That's a 10-year period to see 120% growth
it's nuts.
on the appreciation side, right? And now if you're thinking, Jesse, the past 10 years, it was so crazy. We had COVID and we had, the rebound from the housing crisis and we had all this. Okay, here's another example. 1980,
Yeah.
what was what do you think the average?
It was like about 50,000.
$47,000. In 20, geez, further back in 1980. So another 10-year period, 1990. What do you think was the average property value?
It's about
127, okay? So
120.
between 1980 and 1990, housing value saw 160% appreciation. So don't just think that the past 10 years were crazy and an anomaly. This has been happening for 50 years,
Wow.
right?
That's nice.
Am I convincing you to keep some real estate? So then we have tax advantages, flip. It is active income, it is highly taxed. Government is going to get their money on a short-term capital gain, okay? BRRRR, long-term. You have 1031 exchange. You have cost segregation. You can write off all sorts of things. And if you want to know more about any of this, I would speak to your CPA, of course, but there are significant tax advantages to owning real estate long-term. Like I said, if done right, can wipe out your active income. Cash infusion. So flips are not all bad. We flip. I flip. I have to keep the lights on, right? The rentals are incredible, but this is a long-term it's a long-term play. I am not living high on even 65 units. I am not living the good life on my cash flow. So we flip a couple a year for that cash infusion. A BRRRR is possible if you spend, remember in our example, you can spend so much less than what the bank will give you that you do get significant amount of money all at once, but it's really not the same as if you're doing a flip. So 1 point for flips, they are necessary if you want for us to keep the lights on. And then types of houses. So this is another point for flips because some houses actually only work as a flip. You can flip everything, right? In any neighborhood, if you find a property that is worth less than the amount that you put into it, that it's worth when you're done, right? You can flip in mansions or in affordable housing in Linden. It doesn't matter. Pretty much everything could be a flip, but not everything can be a BRRRR. I would never BRRRR a mansion in Dublin. That it just doesn't make sense, right? You know what I mean? So 1 point flip because every deal that comes across your desk, it could be, if the numbers are right, that could be a good exit, but not everything can be a BRRRR. You're looking for something very specific, and there's a lot more moving parts, so you gotta be really careful about exactly, knowing all your numbers going into it. So here's a recap. I would definitely recommend taking a picture of this one. Skill set, you need less skills to flip than you do to BRRRR. Payments, BRRRR gets more over time. Equity growth, 1 point BRRRR. Tax advantages, tons, right? Cash infusion, 1 point flip. Types of house, you can flip everything, you can only BRRRR certain things. So what do we think is the strategy? Does anyone have any ideas of kind of what you want to do in your own business? Ding, ding, ding. Both for sure. BRRRR everything you can manage and flip the rest. If a deal comes across your desk and it's a good flip and you have the bandwidth, go, right? If you can keep it, we're always making that our priority because the 100 reasons I just told you. So we have a Facebook group that it's on the little flyer I gave you. You're also welcome to join. I am teaching very similar concepts. Every single Tuesday I go live and we have tons of content otherwise. So I would recommend joining if you want to learn more and hear more and you get to hang out with me all the time. But yeah, so that was my prepared stuff and I want to open it up to any questions that y'all have. Oh, okay, here we go.
What type of property do you like to do the BRRRR on those?
So we like to look at, I am in the affordable housing space. So I'm looking at 2-bedroom, 1 baths, up to 3-bedroom, 2 baths. I'm not going bigger than that, right? I'm looking at neighborhoods that are very congruent because when that refinance appraisal happens, if the appraiser doesn't know the value of the property, and if I don't know the value, the appraiser doesn't know the value, you saw how many moving parts there is. That could throw the whole thing off. So we're looking at neighborhoods where the ARV is very predicted, right? We're looking at properties that the rent ratio makes sense for how much money I have to put into it. Because I want to not only get all my money out, I also want to have my mortgage small enough to, our minimum is $300 a door, cash flow. Does it always happen? No. There's some exceptions, but for a single family, that's what we're always aiming for. So if it meets those criteria, that's what if I can manage it, I'm keeping it. If the cash flow maybe doesn't work, I would flip it, but if it meets my, location, size, price, all in, then I'm keeping it. So that's how I know. I just have a buy box, I stick to it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you buy all of your deals with hard money at first, then refinance with regular money?
So I always use some version of OPM, other people's money. It's probably 50% hard money and 50% private lenders. So any of you who've been in the business for a long time and want to put your money to work, double-digit returns, we work with individuals. You know, I will say, hey, Adam, hey, Samantha, I'm gonna use a girl's name. Hey, Samantha, we have this deal come across my desk. It would be a great BRRRR. I can offer you 12% for 8 months. Do you have the capital and are you interested? And quick text back, yes or no. And if it's a yes, then they wire the money to the title company and we buy the house. So partial hard money, partial private money. But always someone else's money. Even if I have it, I will pay you 12% all day long to not touch my money. Yeah. On the refi. Yeah, here. This one. So when the bank, so say that my lender lent me, say they lent me the full $100,000 and the bank's giving me 105, this money goes to them. So if it's a perfect BRRRR and it's zero, did I get paid for all the work I did today? No, I didn't get paid for the work I did. I bought myself 25% equity in a property that I have no money into. So it's still my money, it's just in a property. That's how I want, you know, some people get so caught up, oh, I left 10K in the deal. That is your money. It's still your money, it's just in a house. And if you ever need to sell it, you can access that, right? So you pay, when you refi and you go to the long-term conventional or DSCR loan, they're going to pay back your private or hard money loan. Yeah? What else? Kiana.
So a couple times you said, you know, you're gonna eventually sell this property in the future, talking about a BRRRR property. So why are you saying that eventually sell in the future instead of just keeping it and then as it appreciates, as you showed us, you know, after 10 years, 20 years, just keep using that same property and refinancing it and then pulling that money out and then purchasing more properties?
That is, love that question. That is a personal strategy.
Got it.
So there's a point where, I mean, we buy 20, 25 properties a year. That is not what I want to be doing even 5 years from now, right? I mean, it's a hustle. It is a lot of work to, especially when the money doesn't come to your pocket today. I need a job. I mean, well, not a job, I work for myself, but like I need active income also. I can't only do passive. So I'm doing this job and I have my mentorship and it's a lot. It is a lot. Do I want to do that forever? No. Do I strongly believe in delayed gratification on a lot of this? Yes. So I'm not doing all this work just to, I mean, a refi would accomplish similar. I'd have money in my pocket, but one day I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna sell them all. And I'm gonna go blow the money on whatever I want. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, of course not. That's not who I am. But I am going to. I'm working so hard now to enjoy my life now, but to really enjoy my life in the future. So that's why I personally will sell them one day. But there's no reason you couldn't just refi to the end of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, ma'am.
Can you just explain where you're getting the money for all the refi or the rehab work that you're doing on the properties?
Same place. So these two numbers combined typically are what your OPM is giving you. They're giving you the purchase and the rehab. So if it's a hard money loan, they are providing it in the form of a draw, meaning they'll give you 75 when you buy it, then you do the work, they send an inspector in to confirm that you did the work, and then they release these funds.
What's typically that percentage versus your private?
You're saying interest rate wise? We are paying right now, private lenders 12%. Hard money, we're like 10.5, but they charge points. So it's at one point equals 1% of the loan amount. They're very similar. Hard money is far easier than a conventional lender, but it's a lot more work than private money. So it's like the Goldilocks is kind of hard money. They'll close in 2 weeks, but you have to put some work in. They want to see photo sets. They want to see your renovation budget. They want to see all that. They'll send maybe an inspector in. Private money, I've built this. I build trust with these people. It's like literally a text message, and they're like, "You want to send 200K where?" And I'm like, "Yeah, here's the I'll connect you with title." So they all have their pros and cons, but it's about 12% private and 10.5 with 1 or 2 points hard money. Yes, ma'am.
Where did you first find these hard money or private lenders or?
I am huge on referrals and building your team. So social media is huge, but I want to caution you, when you put something out on one of the investor groups and say, hey, I am looking for a contractor. When the contractor is the one that raises their hand, I'm always a lot more weary. When someone else is vouching and giving that referral, it doesn't matter what it's for, but that third party referral is huge. So that's where I found all hard money. They're just, because there's scams out there. I've been trying to figure out how it's a scam because they're the one giving you money and not vice versa. Like, they're giving you money, so how are they scamming me? But it happens. So I'm very cautious about anyone who's referring themselves. So that's hard money was connections from other investors in rooms just like this.
So you're saying people reaching out to you blindly with an email, you haven't gotten a referral from another realtor friend that says,
Right.
hey, this contractor's awesome.
Right.
And
So
a lot of the groups, just the contractors say, I'm available, I can come quote tomorrow.
correct. So when someone else is vouching for them, I'm 3-4 times more likely to believe that they're good. That doesn't mean that you couldn't find someone good who's referring themselves, but that mutual shared connection referral is worth gold to me. Misty.
Where are you finding the deals that have the most credit for you to do work?
Great question. So I did do my own direct-to-seller marketing for 4 years. I stopped Q1 this year because if you ever buy from wholesalers and you complain about their fee, the amount of work that goes into it is insane. It is behind the scenes, it is more than you ever could have imagined. And the amount of money that they're putting out on marketing with the hopes of getting a deal in-house it's worth the 10K. So I wholesaled for a long time. I was buying my own deals, but it became a grind. I didn't want to do it anymore. So Q1, I let that go. And I have been buying off the MLS. It's real. There are BRRRR deals on the MLS. And I buy from other wholesalers. And as long as the deal works, I don't care how much money they make. I know what goes into it. And it's still a deal for me. It's a deal for them. The seller agreed to the price. Let's go. Let's do it. Wholesalers, MLS. You can do your own marketing. Take a few days and really sit with it because what goes into it it's a lot. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Why are you choosing the strategy of eventually selling versus letting those properties pay down like
That is something that could change over time. So we self-manage everything. That is a huge core value of what I believe, what I teach my students is self-management. Your interests are going to be kept first and foremost, right? That means that I am active in my rental business. I plan to do whatever I want that doesn't include answering resident communication at whatever hour, we have parameters and all that, but there's a point I stopped wholesaling because I didn't want to do it anymore. maybe I hire someone, maybe I won't do property management, but maybe I bring someone in-house. So today, I have no plans on, I do plan to sell someday in the future, I don't know when, but that could change. I mean, I could have a family tragedy and we sell everything tomorrow and cash out and, you know, I don't know, but my plan right now is eventually one day sell in the future.
I think you're actually getting at like a psychological strategy, because a few people have asked the same question, and I actually thought of it too.
Okay, well,
Well, I like the fact that you're saying, I have other plans. Like, I feel like sometimes I get in this space where I'm like, this is what I'm doing forever.
oh, no.
And I know I wanna sell my business like Rachel always wants me to do, right? But, I think what you're saying is you never know what's gonna happen, so always be thinking as you're going through these processes of, if I do have to sell tomorrow because I have a family tragedy, or if I get a job offer in Austin and I wanna go there, like how are you structuring what you're doing now so that you can make these quick shifts? Because this life isn't always the same. So I just wanted to.
Love it, thank you. That's what I meant to say.
Rich, and I agree, and I heard somebody earlier say, my options right now, they're frustrated, my options right now are to quit real estate or die.
Yeah.
And you don't wanna get so frustrated to that point, and we've all been there, days like that, like, okay, I guess this is the day.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm kind of embarrassed to ask this, but okay, you have find a property, you think that there may be a good deal, let's just say for easy numbers, it's $200,000.
Okay.
It's $200,000. See, you have vision, this may work out. It's 200, and it needs renovated, it needs some work. How much do you want, and you don't want to use your own money, so if you're going to, you know, private money or something, how much are you wanting to get? Like, how does that?
I just add the two numbers together, add closing costs, and that's how much I'm asking for.
And then they get their money back later, okay.
Yeah, so that's assuming that this ARV, what it's worth after you do all that. I mean, if you're buying it for 200, putting 50 into it, and it's worth 250, that's not right. So you need to make sure that the ARV is enough to support paying off that, plus letting you keep the equity for all the hard work you did. Amanda.
I feel like a lot of us are like, why would private investors give us their money to do this? So what's in it for them?
Oh, it's a win-win. Yeah, no, it's absolutely a win-win. I have investors that I've worked with for years that message me every single week, like, what deals do you have? I'm like, okay, chill, bro. Like, you're doing too much. But the fact is, they're getting 12%. I cannot, the SEC says I cannot guarantee this, but it's pretty dang likely that they're getting that money back. So it's secure, it's backed by real estate. They're investing in me, they're investing in a tangible asset, and I have a track record of paying them back on time or early, and I pay them more money than they can make anywhere else.
What
So,
happens if you don't? What happens if it's supposed to be 8 months, but it's?
what would happen? So it's written into the promissory note what happens, and that's signed when I buy the property. So it's not just like, I'm just texting you and like, hey, what do you want to do about this? No, it's all outlined ahead of time. There's a penalty. It depends what you agree on. Yeah, but there's definitely a penalty, and I still owe the money plus the penalty. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a maximum number of units that you're putting under one LLC?
I shouldn't answer this because I probably need to start a second one. It's all under one. I shouldn't, yeah, it's all under one. I have really good insurance. I have a really good insurance policy. I'm huge on team building, so my insurance agent isn't just like a robot on a computer. She is my insurance advisor. So Rachel Ford, if any of y'all have worked with her, she does a ton of investor properties. She's an investor herself, and my attorneys told me that even if they're all in separate LLCs and the right person comes along and wants to sue you with the right attorney, they're connecting the dots. You're not that protected, so you want really good insurance. I'm not an attorney, if this is being recorded. I know. Not an attorney. I try to keep it simple. Everything I do, I try to keep it simple. If that's what's stopping you, just get that out of your head. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to give my shout out to myself. I am an insurance agent.
There we go.
I'm also looking at your investment properties.
Insurance advisor.
I am an insurance advisor.
Yeah.
I'm not a robot. Everybody in this room who knows me knows that's not me.
What's your current portfolio worth?
Amanda, you never ask a girl. We're coming up on 2-digit millions. Yeah. Yeah.
You went for it.
Coming up, I will celebrate the 2 digits in the millions, yeah. In 2.5 years, y'all, I swear to you, you get focused, you get in the right rooms, you get the right mentorships, like this is very possible. I'm like just a normal person that got serious, was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Like I'm getting real serious, and here we are.
Where's your mentor? Like, where do you find a mentor?
So if you join our Facebook group, there's information there. It's called Rentals Made Easy Method. I help people buy and manage their own long-term rentals so you can build a portfolio just like this. It occurred to me not too long ago that I'm teaching everyone in Columbus how to buy my exact same deals. So I'm like, oh no. But yeah, we have a ton of people in Columbus. Some girls back here, Kiana, Anna, Cassie, they're in our mentorship. And so yeah, 6-month program. We have weekly calls. We have Resource Vault, like every single document that you need. We have on-demand videos that are designed to go with you every step of the way through the process. And what else do we have? A private Facebook group. So, yes, ma'am, Kathy.
Yes. How are you able to look at the deals so quickly and know, hey, I'm pulling the trigger on this one?
Yes. So, rule of thumb is the 1% rule. You guys know about this? Okay, cool. So, rule of thumb, 1%. You're saying, okay, let me get this right. I say it backwards every time. The monthly rent should be 1% or greater of your all-in cost. So in this scenario, if I'm all in for 105, I need to be bringing in $1,050 every month. If you had no other expenses, no mortgage, no taxes, anything, it would take 100 months, bringing in 1%, 2%, 3%, take 100 months to get all of your money back. That scenario would never happen, but that's like kind of the thinking of it. The riskier in the neighborhoods you buy, this can get up to 2%. You know, in this scenario, if I'm in it for 105, I could be getting 2,100, whatever 2% is. Yeah. So that's rule of thumb. Always, always, always take the next step before you actually make an offer and put it in your like BRRRR calculator, or we have ours. There's some on Bigger Pockets. They're out there, and just make sure you're fully running your numbers and not just operating on that gut instinct. But that 1%, the gut instinct, is like really powerful once you internalize the numbers and you understand. Y'all, everyone's coming back. Y'all had such great questions. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Jen.